Hello and welcome to Doubles and Trebles. It's me, Matt Pieman Hill. No Adam Smith, as you may have noticed. So I'm flying solo for this week's Premier League darts preview. And we're looking at week 13 this evening, which comes from the Hydro Arena in Glasgow. Should start really by taking a little look back at week 12 in Dublin, which was another fantastic evening of action. Yep, week 12 was all about James Wade, the machine, really convincing in winning week 12, his second win of the competition, and he's firmly in the race for finals night. In fact, it would be a real surprise if he didn't make it on current form, to be honest. Came through an absolute cracker with Michael van Gerwen in his quarter-final, both players averaging north of 110 after 8 legs. It really was a wonderful game to watch, and nip and tuck. Van Gerwen will feel like he should have won it, having missed darts to break in leg 9 when the score was 4-4, and then going on to miss a match start or two in the final leg as well. But Wade, credit to him, was a very worthy winner. And it was one of the games of the tournament so far, and everything we've seen from Wade in recent weeks, where he's not just chasing legs and his excellent finishing, getting him out of jail, but he's scoring extremely heavily. There was one leg in particular that sticks out where Wade hit back-to-back 180s before Van Gerwen took out a sensational 129 via treble 19 and a pair of double 18s, which will make any darts fan drool in delight. So that really was an amazing game. The semi-final, he went one better against Gerwin Price, a doubling masterclass and 114 average from the machine. His highest in the format. And yeah, he's just reaching unprecedented levels. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, whether this could be the best we've ever seen James Wade. Very difficult to say that over the longevity that he's had in his career, but he certainly is reaching new levels in terms of scoring power, and he's got the finishing to match, as we all know. So, yeah, Gerwin Price didn't play badly in that game at all, averaged around the ton mark, but was kind of brushed aside by Wade at the very top of his game. And he was forced to scrap in the final against Johnny Clayton because he couldn't quite find the scoring to the extent of his previous two matches. But everything we've seen from him in recent weeks once again came to the fore. He refused to buckle. Clayton hit some big finishes and had him up against the wall at 5-3, but Wade got it back to 5-5, survived a match start from Clayton. Clayton could have won the final 6-3, just missing the bull for an 81 finish. Wade got the break 5-4 and then 5-5. And in the last leg, both players had darts to win it. Both players missed darts to win it. And Wade eventually returned and got the job done. So no fluke about that performance, and another fantastic evening for James Wade, and it leaves him in a very commanding position in terms of qualifying for finals night. And we are really starting to see a little bit of a bridge now between the top four and the chasing four. So just to build on what I was saying there, if we actually take a look at the table now, we have Gary Anderson bringing up the rear on 7 points, Michael Smith on 10 points, Gezi Price on 13, and Joe Cullen on 15. There's then a 5-point gap to our current top four, which currently reads Peter Wright on 20, Wade on 25, alongside Van Gerwen on 25, and our leader Johnny Clayton on 29, who is all but assured a place at finals night. And to be honest, the top three are pretty much there now. It's got to take a Joe Cullen or a Gerwin Price winning 2 nights and a Peter Wright winning a night to knock those three out. So I'm pretty confident in saying that we're going to have Clayton, Van Gerwen and Wade in finals night, and Peter Wright probably just needs one more night win to secure his spot. So does raise these questions over whether the format is becoming a little bit boring now. This was the, it stood the test of time in those opening 10 to 12 weeks, whereby different winners and entertainment value has been in abundance. And it's only now in these last 3 or 4 weeks where we're perhaps already seeing the final four, and there is a little bit of a repetitive feel to things. And I've seen a few comments on social media about people getting quite bored by the format. That kind of goes against what we've said a lot in this channel. We've enjoyed it, but I do think these next 3 or 4 weeks has the potential to just feel a little bit stagnant, as we kind of know most of the players' fates already. I still do think that 4th spot is up for grabs. Peter Wright has got a nice little advantage at the moment, but if a Cullen, Price or Smith was to come in and win this week 13, then it would make him a little bit uncomfortable. And on that note, we could get on to week 13. So as always, first players in each game will have the throw in these best of 11 matches. And in the top half, we'll have Peter Wright and Gary Anderson kicking things off. And the winner of that will play Johnny Clayton or James Wade in the top half of the draw semi-final. Then in the bottom half, we've got Gezi Price and Michael Smith meeting. And Michael Van Gerwen plays Joe Cullen in the bottom half, with the winners of those two games meeting each other in the semis. So, yeah, very interesting. We've got a repeat of last week's final in terms of Clayton and Wade. We've got Gary Anderson very much in the last chance saloon against Peter Wright, although that ship may have sailed. Two Scottish players playing each other in the Hydro Arena. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate that really. It would have been nice to get the two players on the respective other sides of the draw and give the crowd the chance of that final. And one thing I would note here, we saw the crowd very much play a part in Aberdeen, and it was only Johnny Clayton's class that saw him past Anderson and Wright, because the crowd were getting behind virtually every shot from these two Scottish players. And I expect much of the same. Whoever comes through that Wright-Anderson match is going to have very much have the backing against Clayton or Wade. And I think it is a week to take on Clayton or Wade, to be honest, because they're playing each other. Yes, they're the two form players, but one of them has to fall at that first hurdle. And then the winner of that will have to take on the hometown hero in round two, who already have a win under their belt. So it is by no means an easy feat. That is why Michael Van Gerwen is a fairly short price favourite to win this night. But I'm actually looking elsewhere in the outright market, as we'll come on to shortly. So let's take a look at these matches. Kicking things off, Peter Wright and Gary Anderson in front of their home Scottish crowd. As I say, both these players sure to get a great reception and plenty of backing. Let's hope that they rise to the occasion. It's the fifth meeting between the pair in this current Premier League season. Peter Wright leading the head-to-head 3-1, as probably expected. But one thing I would say, they both have tended to raise their game against each other here. Averages from Anderson have been 92, 95, 98 and 100. Very similar for Peter Wright. So I think we could fairly safely say that both players are going to average in the mid to high 90s, possibly pushing that 100 mark, and it'll be a decent quality affair. You would like to think that this would motivate Gary Anderson. He didn't turn up against Johnny Clayton in the Aberdeen version a couple of weeks ago, and that will have hurt him because he had the crowd's full backing, and while he showed a few flashes of his quality, he couldn't really get going, and Johnny Clayton, being the ruthless operator that he is, slammed the door in Anderson's face, never let him build any momentum. I expect Anderson to turn up here, to be honest, and I think he'll give Peter Wright a good game. Hopefully Peter Wright turns up too. Gary Anderson would interest me at the prices, to be honest. I think he's pushing that 2-1 mark. Seems a little bit big, given the location and given the circumstances. Anderson does kind of need these external factors to motivate him. So I'd be very tempted to chance him at 2-1 in a best of 11 on Scottish soil, albeit against Wright, who will enjoy a similar advantage. But me personally, I think the crowd may lean towards Anderson more than Wright, but time will tell. And yeah, I'll be tempted to play Anderson at the price. Johnny Clayton and James Wade, our next game, and it's almost outrageous to see James Wade in at 13-8 to win his first game after what he did last week and after what he's been doing for the last few weeks. I mean, it's been a masterclass, and it's testament to Johnny Clayton that he is in at that price, really. Johnny Clayton, in terms of reliability, you could set your watch to this man. It's not since week 6 has he gone out in his first game. And to be fair to James Wade, week 7 was the last time he went out in his first game. But obviously, that streak has got a snap for one of them. Wade has made 4 of the last 5 finals. So I think 13-8, you could certainly make a case, and he will have his backers. But I wouldn't be rushing to take him on against Johnny Clayton. Johnny Clayton is very much the antithesis of what James Wade is, in that they both kind of respond in similar manners. They don't let themselves get bogged down too much by what their opponent's doing. Both very reliable finishers, efficient players, and I would just probably lean towards Clayton here, but not to the extent of the price. So this is a game I'm quite happy to skip in terms of the match betting. An interesting angle, as I just touched on before, is that I think the winner of this match will have the crowd very much against them. And given recent results and purely on variance, it may be a case of leaving both of these two out of your outright calculations for 1 week, because you can't really do that in any other week. They have to be for me, the first 2 names you look at, but facing each other and then the winner facing a Scottish player in Scotland, it's quite easy to overlook them given the shortness of their respective prices. So yeah, maybe Wade the value play, but probably no bet for me in this one. Going Price and Michael Smith doing battle in the third quarter final, and I think you can safely say that whoever loses this game can pretty much kiss goodbye to their chances of the top 4. The time is running out for them to make a move here. Smith 10 points adrift of Peter Wright in fourth, and Price 7 points adrift. I spoke last week about expecting Gerwyn Price to respond and put in a big performance, and while he was solid against Joe Cullen in his quarterfinal and made light work of the Rockstar, Joe Cullen was actually averaging in the 70s for a lot of that game, so it was a non-event really. And Price, as I say earlier in the video, he played very well in his quarterfinal, but he ran into a James Wade in record-breaking form, and I think that will have hurt him. It's hard to know what to expect from Price. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns up again and puts in another really solid performance, but I would be leaning with Michael Smith. Again, it's more of a Price player, and I actually really liked what I saw from Michael Smith last week. Having lost in the first round in 5 consecutive weeks, I thought he was really good, and he was really unlucky to go out 6-2 to Johnny Clayton, who just played really well, but the scoreline was a little bit deceiving. It was a lot tighter game than that, and Smith was hitting a couple of big scores at good times, and Clayton was just always seemed to be like a dart ahead of him, but there wasn't a lot in it for my money, and I actually think that the prices are a little bit disrespectful here. I would have to put Michael Smith up as a value selection at 6-4 to beat Gezi Price, and maybe even a little bit more, but I will come on to that later on. Final quarterfinal is Michael Van Gerwen and Joe Cullen. Van Gerwen, unsurprisingly, getting on around 4-11 to make light work of Cullen. Cullen normally a master over the short format, but he just hasn't been at it in recent weeks, and he's seen his qualification hopes slip away after a very promising start to the Premier League. And you know, I wouldn't be wanting to discount him just at this stage. He still remains only 5 points behind Peter Wright. One good night, and he could be back in that mix, but he's going the wrong way for my eye. And 3 first-round exits in the last 4 weeks is a worrying sign. Obviously, against Van Gerwen, who is playing some fantastic stuff. We saw it again at the Austrian Open over the weekend, where he was victorious, beating an informed Danny Noppert in the final. And it's ruthless Van Gerwen, and he's very, very capable of just running through this field, and it's a high-quality field as well. But that said, I do find myself keen to take Van Gerwen on. For all his success in the last few weeks, he has gone out in the first game 4 of the last 8 weeks. So he is very, very much beatable if you catch him cold. As he plays into the night, he kind of gets harder to beat and harder to stop. I don't really fancy Cullen to have enough to beat him, but I wouldn't be rushing to take Van Gerwen at the price either. So yeah, as you could probably tell from the way I do my rationale, I look to see if I can get with the outsider, and then I look to see if there's any value with the favourite if I can't. So I can't really get with Cullen with any confidence, and I don't think there's any value in Van Gerwen. So this would be a no bet for me. So how will the night pan out? Well, I think we're looking at one of these guys at the bottom to make their move. I think the ship has probably sailed for Gary Anderson, even if he does go and put in a great evening. But yeah, I think the other 3 have still got chances to varying degrees. And it's a man that I'm often quite critical of on this channel, who I actually think could be the value on this particular evening. Michael Smith, I think he's a big price at 9-2 to reach the final. I really do. I think this game with Gerwyn Price, based on recent form of the last 2 or 3 weeks, is a bit of a coin toss, to be honest. And as I say, I think he's probably value to win that respective match. And then I just wonder about Van Gerwen and Smith, whether it could be a good fit for Smith on current form. His scoring has certainly returned recently, and Van Gerwen, there is an element of potential burnout. He's played that all the way through in Austria on Sunday, and he's played a lot of darts at the moment. And as I say, he can be a bit hit and miss. 4 early exits in the last 8 weeks. So when he's hot, he's very hot, but he's worth taking on as well at the prices. I mean, there's a reason why he's 5-2 to win the entire evening, and that isn't my kind of party, to be honest. So I think for value terms, you can look at Michael Smith to reach the final at 9-2. Of course, some people would want to be playing that to win the evening ticket at 10-1, but I'd just be a little bit reluctant to get involved with that. So if you were really a value seeker, I know I said that the winner of Clayton and Wade is going to have a tough time against the hometown hero, but this is maybe where you could consider getting them on side a little bit. If you were quite keen on a Clayton or a Wade coming through, then you probably play this finalist market. And I think that Johnny Clayton and Michael Smith to meet in the final at 14-1 is a very fair price. It's a good interest bet for the evening. And then you don't have to worry about who wins in the final. But let's be honest, it probably would be Johnny Clayton on the final record. If you wanted to go one step further, Johnny Clayton to beat Michael Smith in the final is 20-1. Michael Smith probably does need to win the night, to be honest, and he hasn't managed to do that in the last 12. I'm not willing to stick him up as an outright winner on the night, but I do think to make the final at 9-2 is of interest, and I think Johnny Clayton to beat him in the final at 20-1 also of interest. So we'll have a point on both of those, and that's our Week 13 action. Just a quick check-in on the outright market 4 weeks away from finals night. We've got MVG in there as a 2-1 favourite, followed by Johnny Clayton at 11-4. I was then a little bit surprised to find Peter Wright in there at 7-2 and James Wade all the way out there at 6-1 in a place. That just looks too big on Wade for me. If you were looking to get an interest in somebody at this stage, then I would have to say Wade. I went really ambitious a few weeks ago, as regular viewers would have seen, by saying that, maybe you could play a Michael Smith or a Gary Anderson, but they are going to need a hell of a lot to go right to make finals night now. And I think you probably have to say that Van Gerwen, Clayton and Wade are looking assured of a spot. At the prices, having Wade on side for finals night at 6-1 on the form is a no-brainer, really. So, yeah, I think anyone looking for an outright interest, you may want to consider Wade at 6-1. That just about does it for this evening's preview. Hope you enjoyed that. Adam should be back with us next week. Do give us a comment and a like if you enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear how you're enjoying the Premier League format and whether you're getting a little bit fed up of it now, as many seem to be on social media, or if you're enjoying it, drop us a comment either way. Always good to hear from you. And do press subscribe. We have some development tour and some pro tour action coming up in the week ahead. So we'll be sure to cover all of those winners and losers in next week's preview video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.